Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 633 based on novel. So let's start. The sky was blue and there were many pavilions below, like a sect. However, the name of the sect was blurry, making it impossible to see. The more one tried to get a better look, the more blurry it would become. In one of the pavilions, there was a woman. This woman was very familiar, very familiar. She bit her lower lip as she looked into the sky as if she was looking for something. Who is she? Who am I? The land was vast, the sky was dark, and the surroundings were filled with a bloody aura, as if there had been a battle here. A woman was escaping through the sky and her face was pale from panic. She would occasionally look back to see a cultivator with lecherous eyes casually chasing her. At the most critical moment, she saw a familiar man hiding below. Who is she? Who is he? Who am I? A fog-like sea and an ordinary-looking cave. A man was sitting inside the cave as if he was at the most critical moment of forming his core. The woman stood outside the cave. Although she was filled with fear, her eyes were filled with determination. Before her, many cultivators were using spells, trying to break the formation to enter the cave. She gritted her teeth and controlled the formation to resist until she used up all her strength. Her body went limp, but she found herself leaning on a warm chest. "I'll take you to kill." This sentence seemed to penetrate the sky and thus connected the two lovers for a lifetime. Who is she? Who is he? Who am I? Still under the blue sky, there was a familiar yet unfamiliar sect. The woman was silently sitting outside a pavilion, holding a zither. Sad zither music echoed. She was going to get married. However, when she walked out of the pavilion to face everything, a man appeared with his supreme cultivation and walked before her. The gentle smile startled her. She wanted to know who he was, who she was, and who exactly herself was. A ray of light that made one feel warmth shined down in a quiet valley. There was a wooden house there, and cheerful song came from a woman playing a zither within. She looked at the man leaning on her and revealed a tender gaze. She seemed very happy, however, who was she, who was this man, who am I? She seemed like she was going to remember something but could not remember it. Her mind was blurry, as if she had slept for a long time. In a blur, the tender image cracked and slowly collapsed. It turned into a stormy day. The man was holding the woman with tears flowing down his eyes, and he let out a startling roar. This roar contained pain, it contained a commitment. Even if heaven wants you to die, I'll take you back. In the ancient Dao imperial capital, in a luxurious room in the imperial palace, a woman was lying on a soft bed. She was not an absolute beauty, but she was pleasing to the eye. However, she was struggling and her face was pale. Her eyelashes trembled as if she was having a nightmare and was trying to awaken from her dream. Tears appeared on the corners of her eyes and flowed down her cheeks, wetting the white pillow. In her dream, that heart-wrenching roar echoed in her heart. It was a roar directed at the sky that defied fate, defied the world. It was a defying will. This voice caused even more tears to flow out. However, she couldn't remember who this woman was, nor who the man who let out the heart-wrenching scream was. She wanted to remember, but now she couldn't even remember who she was. In her dream, she vaguely saw the man appear next to a coffin after some years. He caressed the coffin and his face gently leaned against it. The gentle expression on his face made her heart ache. The tears that fell on the coffin made her sad. She had the impulse of opening her eyes to touch the man's face and wipe away his tears. In her struggle, everything in the dream was broken. The woman dissipated and the man seemed to disappear into the fog. Everything became blurry. She opened her eyes. "You've awakened," a soft voice came from beside her. She looked at the exquisite pattern on the bed and there was confusion in her eyes. Everything from the dream still existed, but it was a blur. Turning her head, she followed the voice and saw a man with long hair in a royal robe. Although he was already middle-aged, he was rather handsome and had a noble temperament. He was also smiling at her. "Who are you? Who Am I? The woman's eyes became even more confused and she felt intense pain. It was as if there was an invisible force preventing her from finding herself. I'm the ancient Tao Emperor, the supreme existence of the ancient Tao. I am your husband. You are called Songji, you come from the ancient She and you are my empress. The man smiled as he spoke, and the aura of an emperor spread out from his body. Husband, as this word echoed, another figure appeared in her mind. This figure was looking at the sky and let out a painful roar. This figure sat with her and listened to her play cheerful zither music. The figure carried her and told her that he was going to bring her to kill. The figure was blurry and seemed to overlap with the royal robe, and they slowly did overlap. It's just that she felt like it was out of place, and after overlapping, they scattered. The intense pain came from her mind once more. The woman closed her eyes and passed out due to the pain. The man in the royal robe immediately became gloomy and said, "Tell me the reason." Ripples echoed behind the man and an old man walked out and dropped down to one knee. "Your Majesty, Song." After the Empress fused with the soul, her body became weak. She already has her own soul, and fusion caused a disorder in her memories. But there is no harm. The Empress only needs to rest for a period of time to recover, but her memory will still be in disarray. However, this is a good thing as Your Majesty can introduce memories to gradually fill her mind and become her real memories. This body is very suitable for the soul and continues to nourish it. Within a few years, this soul and her body will completely fuse. At that time, not even the soul's real body could fuse with the soul anymore. The man in the royal robe slowly said, "You can leave." The old man quickly nodded before turning into smoke and disappearing from the room, leaving only the ancient Tao Emperor and the woman. The ancient Tao Emperor sat beside the woman and looked at her with a strange light in his eyes. The imperial teacher once said that this soul can make me the true ancient emperor that will unify the three clans. The imperial teacher can't be wrong. Then making this woman my empress is the best reward. As he muttered, he raised his right hand and gently stroked her face. He revealed a faint smile. Although this woman is not beautiful, she has her own charm. I've always wondered where the imperial teacher got this soul, but he wouldn't say. However, the soul was also a beauty. She may have her own lover, and perhaps her lover felt extreme pain after she died. Unfortunately, he will never know that this woman is in my hands. If there was a chance to see who her past lover was, it would be very interesting. Perhaps this person is long dead. If he is not dead and they meet, will they recognize each other? The man in the royal robe smiled even more. I'm looking forward to it. But thinking about it, there will be no such day. The man's right hand gently pinched her face, leaving behind a bruise on her face. The woman's body trembled as if she felt pain in her coma, and tears flowed down the corners of her eyes. If not for the fact that she must be a virgin to be titled my empress, I really would want to turn her into a woman now. However, there is no rush. Once the ceremony is over, I'll take my time to enjoy this soul. The man in the royal robe stood up with a smile and waved his sleeve as he left. As the woman's tears flowed, far away, at the bottom of Mount Guiu Dao, Wang Lin looked up at the top of the mountain with coldness in his eyes. Grand Empyrean Guiu Dao obviously didn't recognize him, but he also didn't recognize the entire ancient clan. The only person he respected was Xian Luo. Without Xian Luo, he would never have come here. 300 steps, the Grand Empyrean sun behind Wang Lin released a powerful black and white light. Wang Lin raised his foot. He didn't take just one step, but dozens. The moment his feet stopped, Wang Lin stood on the 39th step, and a powerful pressure smashed down on him, causing him to pause. It was as if countless mountains were pressing down on top of him. In his eyes, the staircase leading to the top of the mountain became twisted as if it was alive. With a cold snort, the Grand Empyrean sun outline behind Wang Lin shined even brighter. With one step, he leaped forward once more. The 42nd step, 57th step, 69th step, 83rd step. Thunderous rumbles echoed in his ears as he faced the powerful pressure to reach the 99th step. He raised his right foot and mercilessly stepped into the 100th step. Once his foot landed, the world rumbled and Mount Guiu Dao seemed to tremble. A powerful pressure bombarded Wang Lin, causing his mind to rumble and blood to flow out from the corner of his mouth. This pressure came from the mountain, from Grand Empyrean Guiu Dao. There is a total of 999 stone steps, and every 100 steps represents 10% of my power. Throughout the ages, no Grand Empyrean could ascend to the 600th step under my will. The person who reached the furthest was a Grand Empyrean named Dong Lin from the Celestial clan. He failed to reach the 600th step, and after leaving someone behind, I allowed him to leave. As for you, let me see how many steps you can reach. An extremely indifferent voice echoed when Wang Lin's foot landed on the 100th step. When the voice finished, the staircase that seemed to have turned into a dragon revealed its true shape. It was a real dragon. Its body was completely black and it let out a roar after it appeared. It charged directly at Wang Lin. A fishy smell with a stench rushed toward Wang Lin in an attempt to stop him on the 100th step. The dragon closed in instantly. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Although his face was pale, he didn't flinch. He looked up and his right hand reached at the void. The Grand Empyrean sun outline behind him shrank a bit and black and white light gathered in his hand. It was a strange scene. The palm of Wang Lin's right hand was white and the back of his palm was black. When the dragon closed in, his palm pressed down and touched the dragon. Thunderous rumbles suddenly echoed. The dragon trembled and let out a miserable scream. Its head collapsed, and the collapse spread rapidly. The entire dragon disintegrated into ashes and disappeared. At the same time, the steps going up the mountain returned to normal and were no longer twisted. It was as if everything Wang Lin had seen earlier was just an illusion. Wang Lin coughed out a mouthful of blood. The moment he destroyed the dragon, his right hand also dissipated as if it had disappeared into thin air. Afterward, black gas gathered in its place and a new arm was formed. However, his right foot had also touched the dragon, and he felt like he had been hit by countless mountains. His right foot rose up and began to fall toward the 99th step behind him. If it landed, it meant that he could not step onto the 100th step. Just as this right foot was about to land, Wang Lin let out a roar and popping sounds echoed. He used his ancient clan body to resist the force. His right foot suddenly changed directions before it landed. However, it did not land on the 99th step, but the 100th step. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He faintly felt that after he stepped onto the 100th step, his ancient and celestial powers showed a sign of fusing. This phenomenon shocked Wang Lin. As he pondered, he raised his foot and stepped forward once more. He was not very fast and only crossed 10 steps each time. However, every step he took made Mount Guiu Dao rumble. After the 100th step, the pressure from the mountain and Guiu Dao doubled. Wang Lin felt like the pressure was almost unbearable, and when he reached the 150th step, he could not help but stop there. At the top of the mountain, Xian Luo looked at Wang Lin from the top of the tower and his heart ached. He had made up his mind. Once Wang Lin failed, he would risk offending Grand Empyrean Guiu Dao and take Wang Lin away. He was brought here by me and came to the ancient clan because of me. I must take him away. Xian Luo silently pondered. If he can't pass the 200th step, Shuo Luo, leave your disciple behind. The blurry figure inside the fog behind Xian Luo spoke these cold words. But before Xian Luo could speak, Wang Lin let out a roar and the Grand Empyrean sun outline behind him rapidly shrank. As it shrank, Wang Lin suddenly looked up and stepped forward. He stepped onto the 160th step. Without pausing, he stepped forward once more. The Grand Empyrean sun outline behind him continued to shrink as if infinite power had entered Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin stepped onto the 170th step, 180th step, 190th step, and finally, when the Grand Empyrean sun outline had shrank to its limit and disappeared, Wang Lin made it to the 200th step. The moment his foot landed, the figure inside the fog at the top of the tower exclaimed softly. And Xian Luo's eyes lit up and he revealed a smile for the first time. The blurry figure slowly said, "He has burned the power of the Grand Empyrean sun to obtain the power to reach the 200th step." However, what will he use for the last 100 steps? The moment Wang Lin's foot landed on the 200th step, the person sitting on the northern pillar of the 4 pillars around the tower suddenly opened his closed eyes. There was a flash of grey light and he disappeared without a trace. When he reappeared, he was on the staircase and walked toward Wang Lin. He waved his hand and his face revealed no expression, as if he was wearing a human mask. He pointed toward Wang Lin. With this, the world changed. It was like a giant hole had appeared in the world. The earth trembled and the entire mountain shook. Wang Lin's pupils shrank. From his view, this point was comparable to something from a Grand Empyrean. This grey-robed man who looks like he is wearing a mask has power comparable to a Grand Empyrean. Who is he? Wang Lin didn't have much time to think as the finger rushed toward his forehead. If he was hit by this finger, not even his ancient body would be able to withstand it, he would immediately die. During this moment of crisis, all the Grand Empyrean Sun aura he had absorbed from the 150th to the 200th step erupted inside his body. Wang Lin's cultivation cycled, and as his essences activated, 99 after images appeared around him. He raised his right hand and punched at the finger. With this punch, the ancient Tao shadows appeared behind him. The ancient god, ancient demon, and ancient devil all threw punches. Above the ancient Tao shadows, there was a golden shadow. This figure was blurry but gave off extremely pure celestial energy, and it also threw a punch. At this moment, a large amount of black gas spread out from Wang Lin's body. This black gas was filled with slaughter and madness. It fused with thunder to form slaughter thunder and formed another punch. Thunderous rumbles echoed across Mount Guiu Dao and spread in all directions. The finger of the grey-robed person collapsed and his body trembled, but he remained standing. He looked at Wang Lin profoundly and then turned back toward the top of the mountain. He disappeared from Wang Lin's vision, and when he reappeared, he was sitting on the northern pillar again with his eyes closed. Wang Lin coughed out blood and the ancient Tao shadow behind him dissipated. Even the golden shadow that gave off extremely pure celestial energy dissipated. His breathing was rough, but he stood on the 200th step firmly. When he stood still, he clearly felt that the ancient and celestial power in his body were fusing in an unimaginable way. This fusion was forced by the pressure from Mount Guiu Dao. Whether it is the celestial clans Empyrean exalts or ascendant Empyreans, they can't step on my mountain. Only Grand Empyreans can. To reach the 200th step means you already have the initial powers of a Grand Empyrean. Continue, let me see if you can reach the 300th step. An indifferent voice echoed in Wang Lin's ears. Grand Empyrean Guiu Dao, he is my disciple. Xian Luo's roar came from the top of the mountain. A ray of light flew out from the tower next to Wang Lin. It was Xian Luo. He was brought here by me and I'm taking him away. Grand Empyrean Guiu Dao, I, Xian Luo, have lived my life for the ancient Dao, never caring about my personal gains or losses. Since ancient times, I never complained and have always wholeheartedly worked for the ancient clan. But today, I implore Grand Empyrean Guiu Dao to let me take my disciple away. Xian Luo looked up at the top of the mountain. He was filled with determination as he spoke. After a long time, the cold voice seemed to become less cold. Xian Luo, when you became a Grand Empyrean, I asked you to become my disciple and stay with me here. You wanted to protect the ancient Dao and didn't want to stay here all the time, so you refused. You have protected the ancient Dao for all these years. This is your first plea, so I'll agree, but it is also your last. Xian Luo revealed a complicated expression and bowed at the tower. He was about to take the weak Wang Lin away. Teacher? Disciple can still go on. Wang Lin took a deep breath and straightened his body. Xian Luo's eyes expressed his concern. Teacher, the pressure from Mount Guodao is the best cultivation for disciple. Please allow disciple to continue. Wang Lin clasped his hands and bowed at Xian Luo. He then turned around and walked toward the 201st step. The moment his foot landed, the sound of his body being unable to bear the pressure became loud, but his eyes were very bright. The ancient power exists because of my bloodline, and my celestial cultivation exists because of my essences, but they could never integrate together. Back in the cave world, I tried to fuse them, but they rejected each other. In the end, they could only be kept separate. But right now, there is nothing better placed than this to help me fuse the celestial and ancient powers. Grand Empyrean Guiu Dao is strongest person on the immortal astral continent. His pressure is the best help in fusing them. Wang Lin was determined to continue up the steps because in the first 200 steps, he felt the opportunity to fuse his ancient and celestial cultivations. This was a golden opportunity for him. Seeing Wang Lin's decisiveness, Xian Luo's eyes narrowed, but didn't stop Wang Lin. He watched Wang Lin walk toward the 201st step. The pressure from Mount Guiu Dao formed an indescribable pressure and smashed down on Wang Lin as he stepped onto the 201st step. The gap in power between the 200th step and the 201st step was great. If before it was a raging wave that Wang Lin had to exhaust all his power and burn his Grand Empyrean sun outline to barely cross, then now it was the entire sea smashing down on him. After just one step, Wang Lin's face became even more pale. His body trembled and blood continued to flow out from the corner of his mouth. His bones were being squeezed, his flesh and blood torn, his origin soul about to shatter, and his soul was going to be wiped out. He was like a lonely boat in the sea. He was extremely fragile when facing the power of the entire sea. However, Wang Lin didn't back down. Even if continuing this path would be very dangerous, Wang Lin didn't want to and was unwilling to give up this chance. This was a once-in-a-lifetime chance. This was perhaps his last chance since the last time he had failed to fuse them. Once he gave up, not only would he fail the fusion, but it would create a shadow in Wang Lin's heart. This was a shadow toward Guiu Dao, the irresistible existence. This could create a fear that would linger for a long time and cause Wang Lin great harm. Grand Empyrean Guiu Dao. I must walk past these 300 steps. Wang Lin's face became distorted and the pain inside and outside his body made him want to roar at the sky. However, he suppressed it and saved the power of this roar inside his body to take the second step. When he took the second step, Wang Lin's mind rumbled and his body trembled violently, but he clearly felt the celestial and ancient power inside his body being fused by force by this pressure. However, as they fused, a shocking rejection force appeared. If not for the pressure from the mountain, Wang Lin would have had no way of stopping this rejection force, and the fusion would have failed once more. However, now there was no need for Wang Lin to suppress it. The pressure from the Mount Guiu Dao played the role of suppressing the rejection force. He struggled as he took the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth steps. Although he was trembling, his body contained an amazing tenacity. This tenacity supported his backbone, allowing him to look up when he faced anyone. The seventh step, the eighth step. Wang Lin stepped onto the 208th step. The veins on his face swelled and creaking sounds echoed inside his body as if bones were rubbing against each other. But his eyes still revealed an unyielding gaze. He felt his celestial and ancient powers rapidly fusing under this pressure. At this moment, he felt like something was different. The ancient power is on the outside and celestial cultivation is inside. The fusion of celestial and ancient power into one, Wang Lin raised his foot and took the 9th step and 10th step onto the 210th step. The moment his foot landed, Wang Lin's essence cultivation and ancient power finally fused a sliver under the intense pressure from the outside. This trace of fused power was a mix of celestial and ancient. It contained both celestial and ancient powers, but it was also Wang Lin's own power. The moment this power appeared, a scene appeared in the sky. This shocked Xian Luo and caused the figure inside the fog at the top of the tower to open his eyes. The sky instantly turned from blue to gold. The golden sky shined brightly and spread in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the sky within hundreds of thousands of kilometers turned golden. This golden sky could even be seen from very far away. It was a shocking sight. This gold was not formed by spells. In the entire ancient clan, such a natural golden sky that was not caused by spells had never appeared before. The appearance of this scene caused Xian Luo to look up, and his eyes reflected the golden sky. The ancient clan's earth was black, but under the golden sky, it was countless times more intense. The entire earth was covered in this endless black. The moment someone looked at this black earth, their heart would tremble. This was 9 songs, 3 signs. The first sign, golden sky and black earth. Xian Luo took a deep breath. The 9 songs, 3 signs were phenomena that appeared when the celestial ancestor and ancient ancestor were born. The 9 songs were for the ancient ancestor and the 3 signs were for the celestial ancestor. Aside from their births, these phenomena had never taken place elsewhere. But today, it was happening on Mount Guiu Dao. The golden sky and black earth gave off an unspeakable sense of strangeness. The surroundings immediately became quiet. Wang Lin faced everything as if he couldn't see any of it. The only thought in his mind was to reach the 300th step and, during the process, fuse his celestial and ancient powers. The moment the golden sky and black earth appeared, Wang Lin's right foot stepped onto the 211th step. The mountain seemed to rumble and Wang Lin felt countless mountains weighing down upon him, but he didn't hesitate to take another step. The 11th step, 12th step, 13th step, 14th step. Until the 19th step. Every step caused Wang Lin's body to tremble. He was extremely weak, even his origin soul and soul were trembling under the pressure as if he could no longer hold on. The moment he stepped onto the 219th step, Wang Lin's body collapsed, but it only scattered into countless black strands that quickly reformed into his body. He was even willing to use the power of slaughter to reinforce his body. As long as his soul was not destroyed, he could carry out his forced fusion as many times as he wanted. However, under this pressure, even if he could continue to reform his body thousands of times, he might still not make it, because his soul would die to this pressure. But this life-threatening pressure was the best tool for fusing his celestial and ancient powers. Wang Lin let out a roar and his foot landed on the 220th step. Popping sounds echoed through the world like crazy. Wang Lin's foot collapsed into black gas dozens of times and reformed dozens of times before he finally stabilized himself. The moment he stood still, a sound suddenly rang out in the golden sky and black earth. This sound was not very clear, but soon, it swept across the golden sky and black earth, becoming more clear. Listening to it carefully, this was the sound of the wind, but what was strange was that there was no wind, yet it sounded like the wind was playing a song. However, when the sound of wind rang out, Xian Luo's expression changed. The 4 grey-robed people sitting on the 4 pillars opened their eyes. When they looked at the sky, their eternal expressions changed. As for the figure inside the fog that had opened his eyes when the golden sky and black earth appeared, he silently pondered for a bit and began to murmur. Heavenly Wind Song. The first of the 9 songs. Another sliver of the fusion of celestial and ancient power appeared inside Wang Lin. It didn't flow inside his body but settled down. As his celestial and ancient power continued to fuse, this power slowly grew. But Wang Lin knew that although he can't see through this power, it was an existence beyond celestial and ancient powers. This was the power he desired from the fusion, this was the regret when he failed back then. He heard the song of the wind. The voice echoed through the world as if it was singing and telling a story. However, Wang Lin didn't understand it, just like how he could not understand the murmur inside the heaven-defying bead. While pondering, Wang Lin felt exhausted, but he still stepped toward the distant Mount Guiu Dao. He gritted his teeth and continued from the 220th step. Every 2 steps, his body would collapse into black strands and reform. However, his origin soul and soul were no longer able to persist. It seemed like he was about to reach his limit. 1 step, 1 step, 1 step. When Wang Lin stepped onto the 230th step, he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. The blood fell on the step. It was a shocking sight. However, the moment the blood landed, a second sound appeared in the heavenly wing song. This was the sound of thunder. Thunderous rumbles echoed in all directions. This thunder seemed to roar, but it contained a sense of rhythm. It was like a heavenly song of thunder. The thunder echoed and fused with the wing song. The wind and thunder mixed and it was as if millions of horse charged through the golden sky and black earth. When the ancient ancestor was born, he was accompanied by 9 songs. If all 9 songs appear, they can create a birthday song. Since ancient times, it is rumored that when both the 9 songs and 3 signs appear on the immortal astral continent, the successor to the celestial ancestor and the ancient ancestor will appear. Xian Luo looked at Wang Lin. He suddenly felt like he couldn't see through his disciple anymore. In the cave, I also saw on him silver eyes. This is just a rumor that spread across the immortal astral continent. Will it be him? Xian Luo entered a trance. He found it difficult to believe everything that had happened today. This video will end here.